Organized with the support and endorsement of the Ministry of Petroleum, the Ministry of Energy and Dams, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and the Ministry of Labor, the fourth gathering of the South Sudan Oil and Power Conference was recently held in Juba from June 29th to June 30th, 2021. What was the objective of the conference? Join us as we discuss this and more only on Beyond the Headlines. During the two-day Oil and Power Conference, petroleum companies, keynote speakers, and distinguished guests were present. But were substantive outcomes achieved at the conclusion of the conference? Our guest today is Lord James Pancho, a lecturer and writer who attended the conference. Thank you for joining me here on Beyond the Headlines, Mr. Moore.
Oh, thank you for having me once again. I wanted to thank our viewers for having a chance to watch us for today's interview.
Recently, the government of South Sudan decided to hold the South Sudan Oil and Gas Conference. Why was the initiative taken, and what was the purpose of the conference? This is the fourth one that has been held so far.
It is always a annual kind of conference conducted by the Ministry of Petroleum. Unfortunately, last year it was postponed due to the epidemics, the coronavirus. So it was postponed, and then this year the meetings was held, the conference. The first was licensing rounds. It was launched on 23rd, then followed by the oil and power event. This event is always conducted by the Ministry of Petroleum to brief about the progress in the oil industry, also to brief the investors on their policies, the new policy laid by the Ministry of Petroleum. So the purpose of the conference is always to attract the foreign investors to come within the country, relating to the security situation, and also other related issues that can hinder the investment in the country. So the intention of the conference this year was about to inform the investor that there's a silencing of the guns. South Sudan is ready for investors to come and invest. So this was the core intention by the ministry after they have launched the licensing round, rather, sorry. Pardon me on that. So this was the core objective of the ministry. It is about to lure the investors in, to start exploring the opportunities.
Now, what companies or institutions were in attendance at the South Sudan Oil and Power Conference?
We have a number of the institutions that attended. Once we have a banking institution, we have what we call Africa Export and Imports Bank, that is Africa Exit Bank in operation. Then we have a Stabik Bank present. We have ESPOC, we have DFOC, we have Dark Petroleum present. We had Nile Data, we have Orange, South African company. We have Oranto. We had a lot of institutions present. In the country, we have local companies, the GOC were holders. So most of the institutions, if we come to the government, we had the ministry, as mentioned before. We have a Ministry of Petroleum, Oil and Gas Commission. We have NALFED, that is a government-owned own corporates. And then we have Ministry of Energy and Dam. So, and some media houses were present. Mostly it was attended by the economic cluster ministries and the GOCs, joint operating companies.
Mm-hmm. Now, the theme of the Oil and Power Conference was Build the Nation, Capital Raising and Innovative Financing to Build Critical Energy and Infrastructure Projects. The South Sudan government is heavily dependent, as you know, on oil to fund its few projects, majority of which seem to go towards the military and roads projects. Now, how does the Ministry of Petroleum, the Ministry of Energy and Dams, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, as well as the Ministry of Labor, hope to raise funds and innovative financing to build critical energy and infrastructure within the country?
Well, it's about the diversification of the economy of the country. One, the ministry wanted to use the oil money to other critical infrastructures development. We have seen so many projects going on. The road project is ongoing in most of the three regions. We have Nadafal Juba Highway, we have Juba Malakal Highway, we have Juba Partizan Highway. So the Ministry of Petroleum wanted to make sure that all this money they are putting in right channel for development. Look, it has been a while for the country without benefiting from the oil revenue. From 2011, there's nothing that has been done. The country has been actually borrowing the money while it's getting 17 billion US dollar annually. So before the war, and then unfortunately when we had the 2013 crisis, we have the oil revenue drop from 17 billion to 2 billion. So this has actually faced the government with a lot of challenges, though there's no realistic that the money has been used. When we come to the joint minister that happened in the conference, their few intention is to use the money in agriculture, in which the minister in office of president commend the presidential affairs minister, Honorable Benjamin, also appreciate the ministers for the initiative. The money is supposed to be diverted to the energy so that we invest in our energy, because we have a pole, we have a dam in the country that have to be built. So there's no need of country lacking to build such generating power so that the country can benefit, because we cannot run the economy without energy. So this was the main theme, so that our economy, if later the oil depleted, and if the oil depleted, then there's a need for us to inject the money in agriculture. If the resources, oil resources get finished later, then we will be able to use this money to finance ourselves. So we don't need to be in a shock situation, regardless of the corruption has been there for how long. But I can see the minister, Honorable Fort Kang, and the other key ministers in the country, they are trying their level best to make sure that the oil revenue they are put in the right channel so that it benefits our citizens, it benefits our citizens, and also benefit the government itself so that it's run the project. So with this, there's a little hope than before. There's now a transparent accountability. Within the conference, we're informed that they will be having a communication setup for the ministry to update about how many barrels per day, about the money they got from the world market. So there will be a system. If I'm told that the other secretary was not lying to the conference attendance, then attendance then is going to be one of the profiting way we are going to benefit through. Because before there was no report, and I hope you're aware of it. But this time we are hoping that this money will go to crude oil will be taken to the world market, and from the world market to the central bank.
At the conference, South Sudanese were encouraged to invest in the country. Does this also include the oil sector? If so, how can this be achieved given that foreigners from the Chinese and Malaysian companies have practically monopolized the oil industry which rightfully belongs to the citizens of South Sudan?
One, they have to be, there's a local content strategy that have to be respected by this foreign company. There's a concern that 80% of the contract and the employment are not respected. They are given to the foreigners. Majority of the contract are given to these Chinese and Malaysian sub companies. They have their three main companies, that is SFOP, and then DFOPs, and then GFOP. But they have a small service company. This service company took the share that is supposed to be given to South Sudanese. 80% of this contract are awarded to Chinese. Now, for this, the minister say this is the wrong thing. They have to respect our local content strategy. This is one of the working documents that they have to respect. They say that 80% to be given to the local. So there's a need, and then the minister has encouraged for our people to compete, the businessmen to compete at the level of the region. Given the fact that we have so many Ugandans, Kenyans, Nigerians, and Ethiopian and Eritrean present in the country. So the minister urged that our people should also compete in other areas, especially in the oil sector and non-oil sector in the region. So that when we're having a Kenyan who are owning a banking institution in the country and Kenyan who are owning the insurance firm, why not South Sudanese businessmen going to Kenya and open their businesses in Kenya? Because there are some people who are having money and they try to keep their money in the bank. So this issue, minister was very audible about this and encourage people to do investment in the region. For us not to be 10 million people, 5 million people who cannot benefit from the regional integration. So it was a point that if we are part of East Africa and also a part of the AU, then why don't, and part of IGAD, why don't we join and explore these opportunities? So the minister is positive about it. And I think if there's anyone willing, the minister has assured them that he will be in direct involved to negotiate with the host, negotiate with the neighbors, so that they allow the South Sudanese companies, own companies, to invest either in the oil sector or in other sectors in other countries in East Africa and beyond. That I think that's how the minister put it.
Now, Stanbic Bank, which is part of the Standard Bank Group and operates in various countries across Africa, has been accused by the Minister of Petroleum, Port Control, of unethical conduct in South Sudan and discriminatory practices against the citizens of the country. What have been the practices of Stanbic Bank within the country, and what led the minister to address this particular issue?
Yes, it is a concern, even it's a testimony from the minister himself. While he raised these points in a conference, he himself went to the bank hall to go and open an account, but it was denied by the workers, the tellers, that there's no individual allowed to open a bank account because they don't deal with individuals. So this actually, South Sudanese were concerned. Why? And most of the people have been denying, complaining about stabbing back, not respecting a local to open an account. One of the citation and the example given was about if you have a South Sudanese pound, you are not allowed to open a bank account. If you are not working with the oil companies or a blue helmet or working with UNIG and an NGO, and then they are only dealing with the institution, and then individuals are not allowed. This policy, minister actually argued that this is not good. It's so discriminating. People have to open an account. Why the unique within the country, within South Sudan, while in the region, that are opening up to the people. So also the corporate responsibility is not seen. The corporate responsibility for a stabbing bar to give loans to the people, they only give loans to the foreigners. So this is a concern. Also, they charge people with a high interest rate. They are not cooperating with the central bank, and the central bank is the institution that regulates a commercial bank operating in the country. So this has raised a concern within the government, and also if you want to withdraw money, your money will come direct from Nairobi. It is extension of the stabbing bank in Kenya, not as a commercial bank operating in South Sudan. So the minister got this concern because the stabbing bank are not respecting our legal institution and are supposed to be regulated by the Central Bank of South Sudan. So this was the issue. Minister warned them if they are not going to stop, then they will act forthwith so that they can stop operating companies, oil operating companies to deal with them and divert them to other banks so that they respect the laws, they respect the institution presently.
Now, according to the South Sudan Ministry of Petroleum, its vision is to ensure petroleum activities are managed and developed in a way that contributes fully to economic development and human prosperity in an ethical, efficient, transparent, accountable manner in accordance to environmental, social, and economic sustainability principles. Due to environmental degradation, loss of livestock, and increased birth of disabled children have been taking place in the oil-producing fields within the country. Was this issue addressed during the Oil and Power Conference that was recently held in Juba?
Yes, it was addressed. One, the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Petroleum pointed out that this time they're injecting the water underground so that people are not affected regarding to the environmental issue, so that they're injecting the waste into underground. Also, they say they have learned from the past. One was about the Sudan government. The Sudan government had a HERA. You remember the oil started in 1997 and then 2006. So there have been operation by these companies, and there are a lot of damage because the Sudan government was not that caring so long they have the oil in South Sudan. With this, they say that they have learned from the first. And for this guy, if they are going to give any investor a chance to operate within South Sudan, then this person is going to be given environmental regulation. There's the Environmental Regulation Act in 2024. So this operating document will die and the government will amount the interest pressure so that these companies will be held accountable if they breach the laws that the country has put forward. So with this is what the ministry that's what the ministry said, exactly, that they will handle the environmental issues so that our people are fully protected. And also, if anything happens, all these companies will be liable for the. If we talk about the economic sustainability principle and social corporate, one, they have to ensure that people at the oil field, the people around the area, the population around the area, have to be given a certain benefit. And then if the oil is going, if people around the oil area are given such benefit, how are they going to benefit them and implemented some other project, like building a water tanks, then also giving them the 5% that belong to them. Like for instance, you heard that there's a percentage given for the first time in the other side of Alpha Nile. So this is a good start. And then if they are going to do this,
which was about, was it 200,000 US dollars?
Yeah, it is about 200,000 US dollars. It's less, but it should be more than that. So it is a good start because we have not heard about this. The money end up in the hand of the ministers, and then our people do not benefit as supposed to.
Can you talk about the award of contracts specifically to South Sudanese within the oil sector?
Award of the contract with South Sudanese? Well, yes, it is supposed to be by merit, but there's a lot of corruption going on.
Was that addressed during the conference?
I never heard of it, but the ministers seem to be having a strategy, as I said before, in which I am waiting, that is not going to entertain the scammers. This is one of the quotes the minister talk about. So anything that is not procedurial and something that is not systematic, the minister will not accept it. And then they wanted to lay out the policies because we have a regulation, the act. The problem that we don't respect the operating document in the country. But there are those documents. We have the cost recovery audits, the guidelines. It is there 2012 Act. We have environmental audit 2012 Act. We have other laws that are governing the oil institution. Now the minister will be restrict to the investment policies and how you are supposed to be awarded the contract. One of the conditions they put forward is about no company, South Sudan's own company or any service company, should be given more than 2 fields. You will be given only 1 field. You cannot supply the 2 fields. So you will be given 1 field, then the 2 field. So this thing here will reduce some other companies taking over and trying to preside over the other company. There are some companies before that actually have that took like 3 fields, oil field or 2. So this is not going to be a case. It's going to be regulated by this time by the Ministry of Petroleum.
What did the minister say of Petroleum Port Control about the discrepancy or such the wide gap of pay between the foreigners working within the oil sector and the South Sudanese working within the oil sector? Does he plan on addressing this since it's such a critical issue?
The minister, the human resource, unified human resource policy has been passed by the cabinet ministers. One, they endorsed that all the employees in the oil sectors are going to be paid equally. Either you are foreigner or South Sudanese, nobody is going to be unique. This is something that has been passed by the Council of Ministers. And as we are waiting for the revitalized transitional national legislative assembly, they will also step in because it's going to be enacted as a law. This is what we are waiting for, and hopefully that is going to happen so soon. It's going to be incorporated, and those companies who are not going to support this will have to leave. It's not their choice. It's a choice of the people, and there's no one who's above the law.
Now, are there any last words that the viewers need to know or that were addressed during the conference?
Minister, I call him one of the people who have a unique characters. One, he actually pointed out that he's not going to entertain the scammers. The time of the scammers over. So they are going to have a genuine contract awarded. Whoever deal will be held accountable. This is one of the positive steps. If we want a country to go forward, people have to be held accountable. The accountability should be put forward so that people should not corrupt, because the corruption should not be encouraged that much. We have many cartels present in the country. There's this elite from the oil sector trying to window within, also the government official trying to push. So with this, most of the thing we're saying, and the minister of the minister in presidential affairs made it very clear that it's going to work hand in hand with the Minister of Petroleum, so that they ensures all this has been said. If we told that it's going to be working hand in hand, because remember the petroleum, the NALFED is a part of the ministry. It's under the Office of Presidency. So it's the one regulating, it's a body that is working hand in hand with these companies. So they're going to have a lot of work together. So with this, South Sudanese also have to be very brave to demand their right. We are not getting what we are supposed to get from the country, from the government. If the government is not doing well, they have to implement the policy that favor the citizen. We had also unemployment. Unemployment was also, people talk about it. How is it going to address the employment policies so that the people are employed equally, and then based on the merit? We cannot entertain always favoring the citizen, favoring the individual. That does not was to have that position. So this is also the key issue. There's opportunities. We are hoping that the youth will be employed in the nearby future if I'm told that this transparent process is going to be implemented. So let's hope for the best, and let's put. I want also to thank you for the role you are doing. You actually trying to expose thing that was for the country. So keep doing it, and always check the people who have the content of what they want to tell the country. So I'm actually thankful for your concern, for our best, and then keep doing that. This is what I can say.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Lord Jameson Panchal, a lecturer and writer, for joining me here at Beyond the Headline to once more address this critical issue within the oil sector and to highlight what took place during the Oil and Power Conference that was recently held in Juba. So thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page at Sunrise Media.